What is an instant turn off in a relationship? Refusal to admit they have done anything wrong. Never apologizing. Constantly positioning as the victim. Deluding themselves by twisting reality so they never have to honestly look at themselves. So, narcissists, basically. Yeah, I didn't connect the dots till after I typed that out. Didn't connect the dots in the relationship either. That's narcissus for ya. I never dated one, but I worked with for one for about 4 years, and only after I walked away was I able to see him for what he was. There's such an emotional and psychological terror to have to deal with that it's essentially an abusive relationship. And hiding behind the classic abuser charm makes them really hard to spot sometimes. Yay, their charm is so fricked. It sucks you in. And the gaslighting is so relentless and effective. How people become like this is beyond me. I never do anything wrong though. I'm the world's greatest person since sliced bread. Always wanting you to be there for them, but not returning the favor. Putting the other person down when they're interested in, excited about something. It took me dating a good person to realize I shouldn't be so hesitant sharing things I like out of fear they'll tell me it's dumb or stupid. This is an important thing to understand. Also to share your opinion or feelings. So many people out there are hurt and are hurting people. Dated a girl who said I would get no sympathy when I said a certain Adam Sandler movie had hit me in the feels due to the underlying storyline and my experience of similar circumstances. Knew there and then I didn't want to be with her. Didn't want her sympathy. I was simply telling her about how a particular movie had affected me. Not sure what it's called, but intentionally causing a fight because they enjoy the making up period. I think that's called toxic relationship. What if they enjoy the fight period? Asking for a friend. That's an even more toxic relationship. You should tell your friend that. Not letting the other speak, or generally not showing an interest in what the other person has to say. I have a girl in work with that we flirt a lot back and forth. But when we try to have a conversation, she always interrupts me and doesn't let me finish and responds before I am done talking. I lost all interest in her. My ADD makes me do this. I try so hard to stop it, but I just get so excited and if I don't blurt it out right there I will forget. Is this caused by ADD? I was always made to feel I'm just an inconsiderate asshole or mentally handicapped for not remembering what I was going to say after letting someone else finish talking. I'm autistic and have been told by a doctor that this is a common thing people like me have. My ex always told me to not meet up with some of friends anymore. That's always a red flag. I didn't stop meeting my friends, but I stopped meeting her pretty soon. I actively encourage my girlfriend to go and meet up with her friends. Seeing my girlfriend's eyes light up with pure joy whenever she mentions how her friends are doing never fails to put a smile on my face. We both have our separate leaves and friend circles too. I never get why some people want their partner to be dedicated to them 24/7, almost like their personal slave. One of her friends sadly had some abusive prick that told her to stop meeting up with her friends and that she should dedicate all his time to him. Thankfully she dumped him in the end. Some people are sadly just fricked up and think their partner should not have a life outside of them. A big red flag in either a romantic relationship or just a friendship for me is when the person you're talking to is always either the hero or the victim in every story they tell. Usually a pretty good indicator of how they view themselves, interact with the world, and it usually means they're going to be my way or the highway or everyone else is to blame for everything. Both are insufferable qualities. It's no fun admitting to being the bad guy or in the wrong. But I've realized that I've a better grip on it at 22 than some of my older friends. I have a co-worker in her mid-30s get annoyed with me because I stepped away from a conversation where I ended up angry with her. When I explained that I step away cause I know at this point in time I can't control my anger and I get nasty, it made me realize that even in our friendship I had never once heard her take responsibility for things that she had done, even when she clearly was in the wrong. I mean, the fact that she got annoyed at me taking steps to not be an asshole says a lot. You need more upvotes to be honest. This sums it up perfectly and from past experience, this is the biggest red flag of all. Also, you can never fix these types of people. You can't fix anyone. People don't change until they decide to do it for themselves. Also, thank you smiley face. Listening to your girlfriend talk to her daughter's father like complete and utter shit on the phone even though he was having a family emergency in a hospital and hadn't actually done anything wrong. Screaming and name calling and all that because she wanted to talk to their 2-year-old, but grandma had her at home. Took me all of 30 seconds to realize that would be me eventually getting treated like shit, so I enjoyed the rest of the night with her. Said when we talked on the phone the next day I didn't think things would work out long term. Oh yeah, she has a pending assault charge for breaking his nose that I didn't find out about till that same night. She's cray cray. Narcissism. Not that easy to spot early on. It's easily hidden by virtue of the disorder. There are questions you can ask that identify narcissists, usually leveraged in job interviews, but the cleverest ones can get around them. You are mine, but I am not yours. Easy. I'll never forget my ex going, can we still be together? But I'll go off to see other people? You can't though. What the hell? My ex did the same thing. He went off and fricked around 10 different people, didn't want to get back together, but wanted to stay friends. But then when I met up with someone, didn't even have sex with them, I was a bad one. He would also tell me I wasn't allowed to have sex with anyone, but he was multiple times in a half-joking voice. I hate this. I was expected to act like a girlfriend, but he could go off and do whatever he pleased. Nope. Low self-esteem to the point you have to dance around their feelings constantly out of fear they'll blow up over the most minuscule things. Yep, couldn't talk about any problems with my ex, because she would flip out over stuff that didn't even matter, let alone actual issues. You know, honestly I saw her self-esteem issues very early on, and I ignored that shit, because I was a freaking retard and thought she was pretty. Inability to communicate problems without yelling or insults. I've spent my whole life training myself not to yell at or insult someone unless it is 100% justified. I like discussing and resolving issues in a level-headed manner where both sides get an understanding of the situation from the other perspective. Just please, for the love of God, don't insult me for asking about your parents when I don't know how your family life is. That's why I'm asking. I second your comment. If you can't communicate healthily, get the hell out. It normally, if not always, leads to serious problems down the road. Not having the same sense of humor. How horrible to be laughing and the other person doesn't think something's funny. From like a core humor standpoint. Hard to explain, but I've been in this situation during a date and it's so awkward to realize you don't find the same things funny. That horrifying realization when I realized I thought stuff was funny ironically, like, it's so unfunny that I laughed, but my ex was laughing BC she thought it was peak comedy. When you realize there would be no plans, unless you are the one to initiate them. Oof, that hit home. Hate when it feels one-sided, I want to feel appreciated too, sad face. This sounds so familiar. Me and my ex would just be sitting at home all day if I didn't propose to take a walk or go see a movie. It was gloomy and exhausting. A year later me and my new boyfriend went out more often in a month than I did with the previous one in a year. Even though they're both exes now, I look back to one relationship as boring and depressing, and the other as exciting and fun. Although I will say, maybe they don't really want plans. I get that you may feel neglected, but to them, they're in a perfectly happy relationship. They just aren't as interested in getting out of the house and going on a date. Well, I once dated a girl that threw her trash out her car window, and I ended up dumping her the next day. Not because of that, but it was a pretty clear sign that we weren't on the same page. She dumped her trash out the car window. The next day, you did the same. Being controlling and demeaning, not turning off lights in unused rooms, lying, complaining about health issues, but refusing to do anything to get better, under control. That's all one person? Were you married? That was two different men. I left the lying abuser when he tried to force me to marry him. After I refused, he tried to get me fired and removed from my volunteer position. He failed. The second was a co-worker I began dating. Yes, I know, bad idea. Found out he was cheating, so I broke up with him. He got mad when I told him to frick off after he tried talking to me again, wanting to get back together. He then hit my leg on camera with a chair. He knew I had issues with that leg, hip, and lying. But we worked in a casino for frick's sake, so he was caught. Took a break for a bit after those ones. Yeah, but more importantly, who was the monster who wouldn't turn off lights in unused rooms? When she fricks another man while you are at work. Chewing so damn loud, as if they've never had food before. Just call them Chewbacca. It worked on Lily. I think when you're in a relationship, all the loud chewing and putting the two in the wrong way kind of evens out. They're not glaring. What for me is a turn off is that cut off point, where you're so sure of the other person that you start taking them for granted. You don't check in on the relationship. You stop talking and the comfort of not having to look good, or even smell good seeps in. And you get stuck in this cycle that you may not even realize is happening, because all those small things just become so routine that you forget what it's like to be in love with someone, what it's like to feel a bit nervous about someone, how beautiful the other person is and how you should tell them, how much you cherish that unspoken comfort and support, how the little touches as they walk by you mean something, how you forget to appreciate the individual. That's where I check out. That's the real turn off. Honestly, I understand that, but there's moments in that dull time that generally isn't as dull as it seems, where you look up at your partner and generally realize once again how much they're worth to you, and that comfortability to just exist with someone without all the nerves is something really great. Because within that small moment you realize how much you love them. You slowly go back through all the things that made you love them in the first place. It's just stronger than it was during the first stages of a relationship. It's stronger because they are willing to stay with you and still be content with you even though there's no excitement and such as there was before. I honestly had the same opinion, but then when my boyfriend moved in and such, we eventually got over the sort of excitement in the relationship. Don't get me wrong, we definitely still enjoy each other's company. But those little moments where I look over to him and see him doing something like muttering to himself over something tetchy or just generally being him, I remember all the things I love about him and how much he means to me, which is a lot stronger. Because without all those nerves I know what I'm feeling is more realistic and stable, as the moments before during all the excitement was very fast, very nerve-wracking. Even though it keeps you on your toes, I felt that I found it difficult to tell what I was feeling.